Hello guys and welcome to our YouTube channel Humanities at Dark, and today we will be beginning with class 9 political, I'm so sorry, class 10 political science, and here I am going to teach you the first chapter, that is your power sharing. So let us begin with this chapter and we will see what all is need to be discussed here. But before that, let me introduce myself to you all. My name is Amisha and I have done my graduation in history from Delhi College of Arts and Commerce, and currently I am pursuing my master's in history from Delhi University itself, and I am also preparing for UPSC Civil Services examination. So I hope so that I am able to do justice to this chapter and you get a better understanding of this chapter after watching this video. So without wasting any more time, let's get into this chapter. So first of all, we will have an overview of this chapter. So this chapter is about the power sharing. Okay, power sharing between whom? Between the government, and within the government also we will see that there are 3 branches of the government. So in that also you will see that the power sharing is here. We will be talking about the power sharing between the between these 3 branches of the government. Okay, and also you can talk about the power sharing between the the state government and the central government. So let us see what kind of power sharing is given in this chapter. Okay, so in the overview, it is there that in this chapter, we resume the tour of democracy that we started last year. So in class 9, you must have studied about democracy and different aspects of it. So we noted last year that in a democracy, all power does not rest with one organ of the government. So it is very true indeed that the 3 organs of the government, they have almost equal power, be it the legislature or the executive or the judiciary. But I do like to, criticize the statement over here, or you can say contradict the statement here, but it is out of the scope of class 10th to take up such statements for you guys to take up such statement. But for class 10th or for this lecture, we will take it as like the 3 organs of the government, they have the you can say equal sharing of power, and not any, you can say that it's not like that only one branch of the government it gets all the power or has dominant share of power with it. So an intelligent sharing of power among legislature, executive, and judiciary is very important to this to the design of a democracy. Because if one of the organ of the government gets more power, then the democracy may fail. Because if legislature gets more power, then it may overpower the executive and the judiciary, and vice versa. Okay, so this is very important to keep in mind that power should be balanced between all the organs, or you can say all the branches of the government. So in this and the next 2 chapters, just a second. In this and the next 2 chapters, we carry this idea of power sharing forward. So now we are taking the idea of power sharing forward. We start with 2 stories from Belgium and Sri Lanka. So we will be dealing with 2 stories, first of Belgium and then of Sri Lanka. Both these stories about how democracy handled demands of power sharing. So in these stories, we will be seeing that how different democracies across, the world, they handle the demands of for the power sharing. Now, the stories yield some general conclusions. So we also be drawing some general conclusions from these stories. So it's not like that we are only going to read these stories for, entertainment purpose. It's not like that. We are going to draw some general conclusion about the need for power sharing in democracy. So we will understand why power sharing in democracy is important and why it needs to be there. So this allows this allows us to discuss various forms of power sharing that will be taken up in the following 2 chapters. So this will be allowing us to discuss the various forms of power sharing that will be taken up in the following 2 chapters. So there are various forms of power sharing, and we will be discussing that different forms of power sharing in the following 2 chapters. So I hope this much is clear, and if anything from this portion is not clear, you can just mention in the comment section that ma'am or Didi, from the overview section, this point is not clear to me. If legislature is not clear to you, if you do not know what exactly legislature is, or what exactly executive is, or even what exactly judiciary is, so you will just let me know and I will explain to you in the next doubt solving lecture, or kind of that lecture. So now let's move on and let's just take up the stories about Belgium and Sri Lanka. So if you look at Belgium, Belgium is a small country in Europe, smaller in area than the state of Haryana. And it has borders with France, the Netherlands, Germany and Luxembourg. And then if you talk about the population of it, just a second, population of a little over 1 crore, about half the population of Haryana. So if you see, it's a country which is, smaller in area than the state of Haryana, and then even the population is half the population of Haryana. Now, the ethnic composition of this country is very complex. If you understand, and if you understand the term ethnicity, it's a bit complex term for you to understand right now. But yes, at the end of this lecture, or by the beginning of the next lecture, I will be taking up this point of ethnicity and what does this mean, because it has some kind of historical analysis also associated with it. So I do not want to put it right here in between the flow of the chapter. So I will be taking this up, kind of separately. So ethnic composition, kind of you can say that different kinds of people living in their tribes in general, you can say. So ethnic composition of this small country is very complex. And of the country's total population, 59% lives in the Flemish region and speaks Dutch language. So they are living in the Flemish region and they are speaking the Dutch language. And then talking about of another 40% people, they live in the Wallonia region and speak French. So 59 plus 40, it is approximately 99%. The remaining 1% of the Belgians, they speak German. So you have Dutch speaking people, you have French speaking people, and then at last you have German speaking people. Now, in the capital city of Brussels, 80% people speak French, while 20% are Dutch speaking. Okay, now who is the minority? Okay, here you will see that the minority French speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. You can analyze from there. 40% people are Dutch speaking, 59% are, 40% are French speaking, and 59% are Dutch speaking. So overall composition, if you see, so the French speaking population, they are in minority. But if you talk about the capital region, there you see that they are the French speakers, they are in majority. So do not get confused about that how can the French be in minority when they are in 80% French speaking people in the capital region. You have to look at the overall composition. The minority speaking French speaking community, if you talk about them, and they were staying in the Bologna region, they were relatively rich and powerful. This was resented by the Dutch-speaking community, who got the benefit of economic development. The Dutch-speaking, speaking community, they resented it, okay, and they got the benefit of economic development. Just a second. There is. Okay. So here you have the minority French speaking community, and they were rich, relatively rich and powerful. Now this was resented by Dutch speaking community, who got the benefit of economic development and education much later. So initially the French, they were rich, they were developed, and the Dutch, they got these developments later on. Okay, so they resented the development and all, growth and development of the French speaking, we can say, minority. But this led to tension between the Dutch speaking and French speaking communities during the 1950s and 1960s. So there will be kind of conflict. Now the tension between the two communities was more acute in Brussels. Now in Brussels, this is the capital city. Remember here that here French, they were in majority, and the Dutch, they were in minority. Brussels, it presented a special problem. The Dutch-speaking people constituted a majority in the country, but a minority in the capital. So this was a special case over here, that the whole country, the Dutch, they were a majority, but in the capital region, they were a minority. So the majority minority, this concept, I think, it's very much clear to you, and you're not getting confused here. And only 1% German speaking people are here. So, I mean, the Belgians are there. So you do not have to worry about them. So let us compare this to the situation in another country. Now, another country that we have to talk about is Sri Lanka. Okay. Sri Lanka is our neighbor. And then you see it is also an island nation, just a few kilometers of the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, if you can locate in the Indian map, you should be able to locate it where it is. It has about 2 crore people, about the same as in Haryana. Like other nation in South Asia region, Sri Lanka has a diverse population. So Sri Lanka, like other nations in the South Asia region, Sri Lanka also has a diverse population. The major social groups are the Sinhala speakers, that those are 74%. Then you also have Tamil speakers there. 18% Tamil speakers are present there. And then among Tamils, there are two subgroups. One, Tamil natives of the country, and then you can see, just a second, let me just get to the text. And the other one are there. Just wait a second. It's so slow. This PDF is not getting loaded fast. Okay, Tamil natives of the country are there. And then you will see that they are called the Sri Lankan Tamils, 13%. And the rest, whose forefathers came from India as plantation workers during colonial period, are called the Indian Tamils. So two kind of Tamils, Sri Lankan Tamils and then Indian Tamils. So as you can see from the map, Sri Lankan Tamils are concentrated in the northern and north and east of the country. And most of the Sinhala speaking people they are Buddhist, while most of the Tamils are Hindus or Muslims. There are about 7% of Christians who are both Tamil and Sinhala. Just imagine what could happen in situations like this. In Belgium, sorry, there is kind of, wait a second, it has just gone. I think I should just pause the video. Okay, anyway guys, so I needed to switch off my camera because of the light issues. Anyways, so we were discussing about this thing that Tamil are, while most of the Tamils are Hindus or Muslims, there are about 7% Christians who are both Tamil and Sinhala. So this is the, you can say that this is kind of the composition of the Sri Lankans. Just imagine what could happen in situations like this. In Belgium, if you see, the Dutch community could take advantage of its numeric majority and force its will on the French and German-speaking population. So since the Dutch community, they are in majority, so they can, they can just impose their will on the French and German speaking population. And this would push the conflict among communities further. So there will be conflicts, because of this majority and minority thing. Now, this could lead to a very messy partition of the country. Both the sides would claim control over Brussels because it is the capital city. And then in Sri Lanka, the Sinhala community enjoyed an even bigger majority and could impose its will on the entire country. Now, let us look at what happened in both these countries. So, we will, look at both these countries as to what happened in these countries. But before looking at these countries, we will just look at the map of Belgium over here. And you can see that this is Walloon in red. This is the French-speaking area. And yellow one is the Flemish Dutch-speaking region. And this is German-speaking region over here. And this is the Brussels, that is the capital region. Okay, ethnic, here you get the definition of ethnic. Just wait a second. Again, I'm getting these kind of disturbances. A social division based on the shared culture. So ethnicity is basically kind of a social division in the society, which is based on the shared culture. If you are sharing your culture, so with kind of group of people, so your ethnicity matches with them. So you belong to a kind of ethnic tribes, we say, and people belonging to the same ethnic group believe in their common descent because of similarities of physical type or culture or both. So if you belong to the same ethnicity, you can say, You have your same culture. Even in some cases, your physical type, it will be same. And they need not always have the same religion or nationality. So it is not important that if you are belonging to same ethnicity or ethnic group, you need to belong to the same religion or nationality. Ethnicity is something vast and something more than that. Religion, it is out of the context of religion, it is out of the context of nationality, and it is like you have to remember, or you have to learn these points about ethnic and ethnicity. Okay, I hope this much is clear again. And then we will talk about the cases of Sri Lanka and what happened in Sri Lanka, and then what happened in Belgium. And then we have to learn certain lessons from both these cases, and what kind of power sharing they had, and all those sorts of things. So this is just the first part of this lecture. I'll be uploading more. I mean, the second lecture will be we will be solely discussing Sri Lanka, and then we will be discussing your Belgium, and then so on. So keep watching Humanities Adda, and if you find the lecture interesting, do like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much.